everyone, this is episode 56, and in this one we'll be designing and printing custom decals, something that's certainly very useful to any scale modeler. Guys, this video runs in conjunction with the next one, episode 57, and in this one I'll be looking at the process of printing and designing custom decals. Now we pick up where we left off in the next video, having given this model a clear coat of gloss, and this will of course prepare the surface to apply these custom markings that I see in my reference pictures. One of the entertaining aspects, I suppose, of the US tank core is of course the names, the nicknames that they print on the barrels of their M1 tanks. And in this case I'm building a very specific one called Budget Breaker B38. And if you go to my Instagram, I posted the story of how this tank got its name. Of course, this is information provided by my friend the retired US Army mechanic, and it's quite an entertaining read, so do head on over there and get the lowdown. So we'll need a few things for this. Of course, decal paper. This has traditionally been hard to find in South Africa, but it's become easier to source. I'll also be using microset and microsalt, something that's well familiar to many modelers. A pair of scissors, and of course some cotton buds, all the usual tools you need for decals. Let's talk about these decal solutions. Everyone is familiar with these, microset, microsol. They are my preference, but there are also other products. These are from Mr. Hobby, Mark Setter and Mark Softener, similar product, and even Vallejo has their own decal fixer, decal softener. Of course, there's many others from Tamiya, other companies, but this is the options available to you. Now, this decal paper has always been hard to find in my corner of the world here in South Africa, but fortunately it's become easier to source. You get two types, one for inkjet and one for laser. Usually there are some instructions included with the paper, something that you need to look at very carefully. Now the paper itself has a front and a back, of course. There's the shiny front and the back, and you need to be careful and make sure that you insert the correct side up into your printer. Let's talk about a few steps. When designing custom decals, of course, you'll first have to consult your reference works and then take accurate measurements on your model. Next, you'll have to design your decal, and for this you can use any of the popular design applications, Photoshop, Illustrator. There are many others. Due to my day job, I mostly work in Photoshop. That's the one I'm most familiar with, and it's also the one that I'll be using in this tutorial. Now, once the design is ready, you can print a test page on ordinary office paper and just recheck your measurements on the model. You don't want to end up wasting your precious decal paper. The next step, of course, is to print out your decals on the appropriate decal paper, either laser or inkjet. Now you'll see there in yellow for inkjet paper, allow this to dry and then coat the print with varnish. This is for inkjet paper only. Before you put that decal into the water, of course, you'll have to protect the print that was printed on your inkjet printer. And of course, this is not a step required for laser paper. Finally, you'll be applying the decals to the model using your decal setting and softening solution of choice. So there you go, guys. This is the steps that we'll be following. The quality of your decals will depend on the type of printer and of course also the paper that you use. And one should have realistic expectations. Don't expect to be competition for professional companies like Cartograph anytime soon. There are many variables that will influence the quality of the print that you're going to get out of this. So for the barrel, the nickname, the name on the barrel, that will be placed there. And we also have these bumper numbers, I believe they're called, and we'll have to recreate that. And of course, they will fit on our model the same spot that I see them in the reference pictures. First step, of course, is to take careful measurements. Always measure twice, print once. The next step will require some computer work. Now in this case, I'm using an older version of Adobe Photoshop. The software that you use, of course, is your own preference, but in this case, I'll be using Photoshop. First is to open a new document, and the The first step there is to go to the paper presets. I'm going to international paper. I'll be printing an A4 sized sheet, and let's give it a name, preferably spelled correctly. Because I'm printing black lettering, I'm not too concerned about the color mode or the background. In this case, I'll leave it white. Next, we need to ensure that we are using the correct unit of measurement. So I go to Preferences, Units and Rulers. This, of course, is Photoshop. And then make sure that my rulers are set to millimeters. Now, you need to set this to the same unit of measurement that you used to take your measurements on the model. Having now done this, we need to set some bleed. We can't print right on the edge of the document, so I drag it out to the center. And I next use the measurements on the rulers to drag out guides, so that I can ensure that I have the correct measurements on my Photoshop document. There we go. That is for the bumper numbers. Of course, always print more than one copy because things happen with decals, as you well know. The next step is to find a stencil font similar to what I see in my reference pictures, and fortunately I've got the correct one downloaded from the internet. In this case, I'm using a font called Boston Traffic. Now, there will be many others. Make sure you find the correct one for your use. There we go. That's certainly the correct font. And I now recreate the bumper numbers as well as the barrel name, similar to what I see in my reference pictures. The tank name in this case is Budget Breaker, and I create that and make sure that it fits the measurements. The next step is to print this. Now first I'm going to print a test page on ordinary office paper just to make sure that my measurements are correct. And once I have this, just cut those decals out. Again, you'll see I printed multiple copies, and guys, again, things happen when you apply decals, so rather print 2 or 3 or 4 copies of the same, just in case you mess up one of the first ones. There we go, one of the bumper numbers, that looks correct. And let's just check the size of the lettering. Certainly looks spot on. Also check the size on the barrel. Yep, looks perfect. So I can now proceed and insert the decal paper into my printer, making sure that the correct side is up. There we go. Our printed decal, and all that needs to be done now is to cut the correct shape from this decal paper. In this case, I'm using decal paper with a white backing. I apply my decal setting solution, this being micro set, and carefully position the decal in place. Now, of course, micro sol is the secret sauce here, and for most decal work, this will really help the decal to set to the surface on the model. Next up is the barrel name, the name on the barrel. Cut this to size. There we go. Budget Breaker. Prepare the surface with micro set. Once this is done, the little decal goes into the lukewarm water, and it's carefully positioned on the barrel. Again, some micro sol just to make sure that it's properly fixed to the surface. There we go, something like that. And then finally, when the decals have dried, apply a protective gloss coat just to make sure that they don't go anywhere. We'll also be applying some weathering on top of these decals. So guys, there you go. Decals applied, custom decals. Certainly a very useful skill to have in your modeling box of skills, your modeling toolbox. And this is going to help us a lot to recreate a realistic B-38 budget breaker belonging to the 1st Infantry Division. So that's it for decals. You can now move on to the next video, episode 57, where I'll be explaining the process I followed to get the camo on that tank. That is the usual list of all the products that I used, all the micro scale setting solutions and glosses there. I've also included the type of printer that I'm using. The paper unfortunately is not branded, so I have no idea where that comes from. I ordered this from Doodles Cafe. When you search for paper, look for water slide decal paper. Unlike us scale modelers, the craft shops like to call this water slide paper, so that's something to look for. Your local hobby shop will also be able to help you, I'm sure. Guys, and that's it then for episode 56. Thank you for joining me. Again, follow me on Instagram for frequent updates on this and other builds. Looking forward to seeing everyone in the next video.